Hello and welcome to Straight Dude Date Night, a show where two straight dudes go on a date and they review it. My name is David Stallings and I am one of the straight dudes.
And I am Ricky Rivera, the other straight dude.
Today, we got a new Marvel hit, boys and girls. We got a brand new one. Everyone's chomping at the bit for it.
Baby, Marvel's back.
Big Marvel here. As you know, we love it. It's perfect in every iteration. Right, Ricky?
Dude, I can't think of a single bad Marvel movie.
There's none. It's never existed. Not a single bad Marvel movie has ever been made, right?
I can't think of any.
Which, luckily...
Captain Marvel, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, best one. The new Ant-Man was perfect. Personally, my favorite Marvel movie is Thor: The Dark World. I don't know if you've seen that.
That is an insta-classic.
Insta-classic.
Banger
Love it.
movie.
Huge banger.
Thor? Dude,
Yeah.
that's back when they had him bleach blonde.
Yep.
That was peak Thor.
Long hair, and it was, the introduction of the Dark Elves was the greatest introduction to the MCU as well.
Yeah, dude. Forget all those other plebs.
Yeah, Thanos
Tony
and the
who?
Infinity Stones. We don't care about that.
Don't care. I didn't watch those.
I want more Dark Elves. That's what I'm here to say. That's my hot take today, jumping in. But we're not going to talk about the Dark Elves right now. We're going to talk about the new Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3. We just saw it in big old Dolby for its premiere weekend.
Let's go.
And right out of the gate, man, this was a pleasant surprise, right? I felt really good with this movie.
This is not a spoiler, but it is monumental. It's the first Marvel movie to drop the F-bomb. It was epic.
Is it?
That's what IMDb facts say.
Wait, really?
Yeah, but that's awesome.
This was the first time they ever dropped an F word?
Yeah, baby. An uncensored use of it. Because they've probably used it before.
They've referenced
but
it.
This
at
is
least.
the first uncensored, and
Wow, really?
I mean, they could have used that F-bomb and so many other cool
The way
moments.
they used it was so dumb.
It was so dumb, but it was great.
That's insane. They've been making Marvel movies like in this MCU for like 15 years, I think, and this is the first time?
I've always thought that the best place for the FU would have been after Thanos was like, I am inevitable, and then Iron Man goes, I am Iron Man. I think that should have just been like a FU, and then just snap. That'd have been awesome. Iconic. Like, even Robert Downey Jr. has come out and said he hates that was his last line. I am Iron Man. Like, that's so dumb.
Yeah, it's
just a dumb line.
Mm-hmm. That's a weird way to end it. Wow, I did not process that in the movie. Like, it felt out of nowhere when the F-bomb was dropped, but I did not realize this was the first time. But now that you mention it, I can't think of a single other time we've had that.
Gotta let them use it. Bro, it's Chris Pratt. Of course I'm gonna let him do it. He's so cool.
He's so cool, as we've said before on the pod.
Gotta let him say it.
He's so cool. He can say whatever he wants. He should have had plenty of F-bombs. Every line he had should have had an F-word in it.
That'd have been awesome.
That would have been great, bro. I'd watch this movie over and over. It'd be great. So, yeah, we watched the new Marvel movie. Just came out. And if you've seen the trailers, the big thing is that no one knows what this movie is about. So I'm going to go into a quick synopsis. As stated throughout our podcast, just reiterating, because this is a big movie, spoilers ahead. We will be spoiling probably everything in this movie. Maybe miss some stuff, but we're going to spoil the majority of it. So if you care about that, go watch the movie, then come back. So
this is one of those movies where you actually could watch because it's Marvel.
Yeah.
You always go, you don't want to spoil those.
Yeah, if you want, if you want the general recommendation from us, I think we're on like a good trajectory with this movie right now. So like, go see it. If you like Marvel, go see it. Like, it's pretty solid.
It's not as good as the first, but it's way better than the second.
Yep.
I think a lot of fans will be happy about that.
Yeah, the majority of these Marvel movies end up in that fashion.
Still close to the first though. Still had a lot of the same appeal as the first.
Yes.
So go watch.
This one was solid. So, synopsis time. Again, I had no idea. I don't think anyone else knew what this movie was going to be about. There was theories about it being like trying to find a new Gamora. Like, everything I saw was that this was going to focus on something with Gamora or Adam Warlock, who was teased in the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie. None of that was true. None of that was the case here.
Yep.
So, oh gosh, and it's a sci-fi movie. There's so much. All right, I will try my best. We start off in the planet city of Nowhere, where the Guardians of the Galaxy basically run the place now, and they've set up shop as their headquarters. While they're there, very quickly into this, as they're all chilling, Star-Lord is drunk as he's still grieving over Gamora, his Gamora being gone. He yells at Rocket, who's kind of in a weird place at the moment, and suddenly everything goes kablammy as Adam Warlock, the agent from the Sovereign People, shows up for revenge to try and get Rocket specifically, and ends up going on a very intense, murderous rage throughout the city, injuring almost every Guardian and nearly killing Rocket in the process. They subdue Adam Warlock, and Rocket is in a coma, and they can't heal him because apparently there's some kind of kill switch inside of Rocket's body that they never knew about. We get a whole origin story about Rocket's past of being turned into the very smart weapon that he is by this person named the High Evolutionary, who's trying to create a perfect society through the world. Meanwhile, the Guardians are now on a quest to find the password to heal Rocket and save him before he dies within 48 hours. This takes them to one of the perfect societies that the Evolutionary has made to find the reports on Rocket. They learn that they have to find the Evolutionary himself, which takes them to another perfect society called Counter Earth, which is basically Earth but with all animal people. And we find the password as the High Evolutionary is also pursuing Rocket, because his brain is the only brain he's ever created that is perfect and can actually create. It can invent. So he's trying to he's apparently been hunting Rocket down throughout the entire MCU to get him back so he can create a true perfect society that can build on itself. Oh my gosh. And then there's still like an hour and a half left of the movie.
There's a long one.
Yeah, it was a lot. High Evolutionary, as he thinks that he has Rocket now, destroys the planet that he's made, basically incinerating all these people he's made. It's pretty horrifying. And then we get a big all-out war between his whole big spaceship, which is a big cube, versus the planet Nowhere that comes in to try and fight. And it becomes a war of trying to...
It's Star Wars.
This is a Star Wars movie, man. It was dope. There's like so much for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
But the main gist of it is that we get the whole origin of Rocket and the reason that he's always been kind of secretive about his life and his past, but why he's also incredible. And like, yeah. Gamora's in it already. They just throw in the new version of her from Endgame. And that's that for that whole story. There's no love, nothing. God, there's so much. It would take me forever to go through this whole movie, I'm realizing.
It's all right. Most people, they watched it.
You probably watched it, and if you did, you're probably thinking, David's doing a horrible job trying to sum up this
There's
movie.
a lot going on. Look, that's kind of the appeal of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, is that there's a lot going on, but like it's manageable.
Well, every movie they add in new main characters that now we have to manage too throughout the process, which they continue to do so in this movie as well.
One thing I loved and adored about this movie that I don't like about most Marvel movies is they'll take a whole movie to build up the story, and then in the end credits, okay, how do we push the MCU further along? Let's just throw it in the end credit scene. Here's a character. Here you go. Bang.
Yeah.
Like even in like Guardians 2 was like, oh, here's Adam Warlock. By the way, he's going to be important later. Don't worry about it.
And truly, that was the only... I mean, other than establishing that Star-Lord has like God blood in him, but the Adam Warlock thing is what you remember from that movie.
It's the only thing that the second movie really did. Because even though we did find out that he's part God, he loses that ability at the end of it because they killed the planet.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
So it doesn't matter. All the second one did was justify stuff from the first movie and set up Adam Warlock. This is the only two important. If there's probably other stuff that people are thinking about, but I just watched it, and I promise you, those are the only two important things.
Yeah, props to you, bro, for continuing to do research on the movies of the franchises you haven't seen all of yet.
Yeah, well, Guardians, I thought I had seen the first two, and then I got halfway through the first one and realized, I was like, wow, I've never seen this, but this is awesome.
I can't believe you never saw that movie.
Never did, bro.
That one was such a banger.
I probably wouldn't watch Marvel movies if it wasn't for this podcast.
Yeah.
There's something about going out to go see them. Like, I'd rather just watch it at home because then I have to wait like 2 years for them to answer one question. I mean, when did Guardians 2 come out? Like 2019? 2018?
No, before that. Guardians 2 came out in 2017, I think.
2017.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we've seen Warlock.
Since
Adam
then.
Warlock 6 years later.
Yeah.
I forgot about him. I don't care about him anymore.
Yeah.
It's been 6 years.
I mean, I've kept up with him mainly because I saw the news like a couple of years ago when it came out that they cast Will Poulter as Adam Warlock, which he was great.
I thought it was great casting.
I thought he was dope. The guy is ripped, and I'm not bothered by his eyebrows as much as I was as a kid. But I was very interested in seeing him in this role. Kind of disappointed that Adam Warlock truly did not matter in this movie at all.
Yeah, because that was the other 50% of what mattered from the second movie was Adam Warlock's coming.
Yeah.
And now we got him, and it seems like, oh no, he will be important, but just not yet. And
yeah.
It's like, bro, like, come on. But I'm happy we got to see some of him in the movie, and I didn't have to wait 2.5 hours just to watch the end credit to see him again. It did make me happy that I got to see some action from him.
We got to see some build up on him too. Like
he starts the movie. He's the whole reason Rocket's hurt.
Yeah, he creates all of the drama in it. Like he really shows up and just tears things apart, which was it was such a great opening of this movie, I thought.
Yeah. I'm happy that they finally like put in characters in this one and let you actually explore a little bit with what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I feel like every character had just really great action scenes in this movie too.
Yeah,
like I didn't have to wait 2 hours to get Groot doing something. It was like, bro, Groot was balling out the first fight.
Yeah,
everybody was having a good. Like we got to see everybody at the first fight, and I was like, yes, I've missed this.
I really liked that the Guardians of the Galaxy movies have seemed to do such a great job of. They're always such a packed cast of characters. Even from the first movie, from the first movie, we had 5 main characters from the get-go. Then it went up to like 7, and now we're at like 9 or 10. But they always have done a great job of giving every character their moment and their growth in some way.
Yes.
Which is really solid writing, in my opinion, on character development of so many people at the same time. Like, I feel like... I'm trying to think... But I'm pretty sure every character you care about of the Guardians has some development through this movie. Whether big or small, they have their moment, which I think is dope.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome to see.
I will say, with going back to Adam Warlock though, because like I know from the comics he becomes part of the Guardians at some point anyway. So I kind of knew that going in that he was going to become a good guy.
Is at the end of the movie.
At the end, he's a good guy. He's hugging everyone. He's part of it. I didn't like that. It seemed like they were setting him up to be the new Drax, meaning that he's the powerful dumb guy. Did you get that vibe at all?
No, that's the vibe for sure.
Like, why do we need that?
We don't need another one, bro. Warlock is dope.
Why can't we have really powerful, like, cool people coming in? Why did they have... I just felt like that's a trope that we're jumping into right away, because if you know, like, real life stuff, Batista has been very clear that he's not doing Marvel anymore after this movie. So it feels like they were setting up Adam Warlock to take that personality for him.
Yeah, I think... I hope that's not how he gets written in. And honestly, I don't even know how Drax got there, because in the first movie, Drax is not... I mean, he's kind of dumb, but like he's not like the big dumb idiot. Like in the first movie, he at least has like purpose, and he's out for vengeance. Mm-hmm. And he's still, even though he's dumb, he's not like just laughing, he's not goofy dumb.
Yeah.
He's bronze dumb.
Yeah.
And then in the second movie, they just totally rewrote his character. Like, he was so different. So this one, it was nice to see them kind of go back to his original roots in the first movie.
Yeah.
Like, I loved that for Drax. I thought this was a great story arc for him.
Yeah, having the end, like the end of his arc being that he is now basically a father again in a way to all of these refugee like humanoid life forms that they brought back to nowhere is actually like that makes total sense for his character.
He can just get sent off. That's fine. And I'm sure Dave Bautista will come back at some point. I don't think it's his last one. I mean, he's made it pretty clear, but like when a check comes showing up and they're like, "Hey bro, we just need you for like one scene."
Yeah.
For this Avengers movie, I think he'll say yes.
Yeah, probably during the next big Avengers movie, whatever that will be at some point.
I really do think when all these characters say like, "Nah, I'm done," I think it's like, unless you really need me, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, unless we really get to like an end game moment, then it's like, yeah, I'll show up.
Yeah.
I kind of have to.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll be there. I know the movie will produce $4 billion this time. I'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, early prediction, bold statement. I think at some point we'll see like Iron Man come back, like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans. They'll come back at some point.
Well,
not for a big role, but there will be a point in time, I think, where they show up,
where they jump back in.
At
for
least
a moment.
Reese do a scene or something.
I do think that this movie does set up the inevitable thing that I knew was going to happen. I may have mentioned this before as well that I have not been eager about, which was Gamora. Not her character, but because time travel was introduced to the MCU, we now are able to just retcon things because of time travel. So Gamora, she just exists again. That past version that was from Endgame, she's in our universe now. And she's back to her like very aggressive, selfish self from the first movie. And we can try to relive some love stuff and relive all of that era instead. Or we can get one from a different universe and recast her as someone else. Like, that is coming. We're going to see that so much more, and I hate that.
Yeah, I didn't understand. So I'm trying to remember what happened at the end of Endgame where she comes back. I know she's back, but like, did they just leave her on the planet? Is that what happened?
Clearly not, because she's up in space now. So
I swear dude, I could have sworn she left with the Guardians, but I guess not. But regardless of the point, it doesn't matter because Loki exists, which came up with this whole organization that's like, no, that we can't allow you to jump into another timeline. You'll mess everything up.
Any kind of issues with if time is out of order in some way, we're gonna go fix it.
Yeah,
except Gamora.
What happened there? I mean, I guess the explanation is that they messed it up before this movie, before Endgame happened. I don't know. That means that everything that happened in Loki happened between the beginning of Infinity War to the end of Endgame, right?
Beginning of Endgame, because it was during Endgame that Loki got sent, that he teleported out of New York.
That's right.
So not Infinity War.
Not even at the beginning. It's like in the middle of Endgame. That's right. So he's in the middle of Endgame. Sorry, I'm holding scissors and pointing them at you.
Yeah, I'm aware. It's a very aggressive energy I'm getting from Ricky right now.
If people can't hear this, I'm ready to get aggressive.
You can continue using it as you can use the pencil or the scissors. I'm across the table. It's fine.
That was the thing for me. It was like Loki must have happened so quick, which I know it didn't. Mm-hmm. That how can Gamora be allowed to stay in this timeline?
I don't know. And that's the thing is as the variables continue to increase, the less and less Marvel will stick to their own rules. It's probably going to be my biggest gripe with every movie going forward as they try to expand on it, because none of it makes sense. Gamora just shouldn't be there.
I'm okay with other movies when it's like there's a question we want answered and it's like, you know what, whatever, there wasn't enough time, it's just a one-off movie.
Yeah.
But when you've established a whole franchise that is based on being as complicated as humanly possible, like, you got to expect that people are going to ask these questions and that, like, we have every right to be like, yo, so what's up with Gamora?
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, you guys set the rules.
I mean, I said it from the beginning. The trailers didn't emphasize what the what the story of this movie was going to be about. So no one knew, but everyone.
Which is fine. It's fun.
But
I didn't even watch a trailer before this.
But based on everything that's happened leading up to this, everyone I've talked to has been like, yeah, it's obviously going to be about Gamora. It's obviously going to be about finding a new version of Gamora or getting our Gamora back or something. But apparently, we got a past one. She's just going to stick around. That's fine. What? Why? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. So maybe somebody out there who's a Marvel nerd that understand what's going on, maybe hit us up in the DMs or something and explain this to me, because that didn't make any sense.
I mean, like, that being said, the story that did end up unfolding was very compelling to me.
It was awesome. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I like what happened in this movie, but like I can't get past this Gamora thing.
Yeah,
they made this a rule. Mm-hmm. And it's not like it was just some rule in passing. They made a whole show based on this.
Yeah,
on this one rule.
Yeah,
we have a whole show based on this that's canon to the world, very important to the world because it's an introduction of the next major villain arc. Mm-hmm. I think we're okay to follow those rules, but then all of a sudden they're like, nah, forget that.
No, we don't.
That was a Disney Plus show. Come on, idiot.
We're not totally sure if all the Disney Plus stuff is canon yet. We're not.
I haven't
positive.
decided. We're slowing down.
Going back and forth.
We're slowing down on those.
Look, the ratings on a lot of the recent Disney Plus shows are making us go back and forth. Are these truly canon or not? People aren't really watching them, so.
Dude, somebody watched all of She-Hulk and was like, "This is a great show. we could put this out." I really don't understand that. Like, somebody really was just like, "Man, look at the VFX we put into Guardians, and then let's look at She-Hulk."
Yeah,
we did so good.
Because the effects in this movie, bro. Oh my gosh, this was like a cosmic horror film in a way.
Bro, Guardians of the Galaxy has the best visual effects in any Marvel movie.
Oh my gosh. It's always so dope.
I just watched the first movie like 2 days ago, and I went back and rewatched so many scenes. Like, there was one scene that I rewatched like 10 times. It's the one where the spaceship that they're in gets shot at with Ronan, where his spaceship gets shot at, and then you see Nebula looking out the window, and then like the explosion hits and it goes around the ship because they have a force field around it.
Yeah.
So cool. I watched that scene 10 times. It was awesome.
And that was 9 years ago. It was like 2014 that it came out.
So many stills. Like, I wanted to just take screenshots and just put them all on Instagram and be like, look at this.
That was a millennia ago, you know? Like, that was forever ago. And the Guardians movies have always continued to go up with their effects. Like, it's been so fun to watch, and this movie was no different. I felt like they really went hard into that because all of the weird animal experiment people,
they were horrifying.
It was terrifying. Like, genuinely, this was not a horror film by any means, but these creatures looked like they were a mess. They were, oh my gosh. We had when they released the Hellspawn at the end, which were just like these horrible mutations of different animals combined with cybernetic stuff, and they showed like a silhouette of one, and I for real, I thought to myself, I'm like, this movie is becoming an actual scary alien movie right now.
Dude, it was so cool. This, like, man, this is what I love about Guardians. Like, they expand the universe into so many different creatures. It feels like Star Wars almost in a way, because that was the appeal with Star Wars, was like, whoa, look at this screen right now. Like, am I watching pod racing and there's like 50 different creatures on screen? I wanted to see all of them. They're so cool.
Yeah. Like, and that's the fun thing, is that they try to keep putting in like new creatures onto the actual main Guardians team, and then we get to expand on them. Hold on, tangent real quick. Do you know where the Soviet dog with telekinesis came from? Do we know where that thing came from?
Originally, or like in the movies?
In the movies.
Yeah.
When did we get this?
That dog was in the collector's house.
Really?
Nowhere. Yeah. So actually, the dog, when you watch the first movie and they're trying to sell the Infinity Stone to whatever his name, the Collector.
The Collector, yeah.
In one of the cages behind him, in like things, you see the dog, and it's just sitting there. And it's just like, It's also on the ride too, the Guardians ride at Disneyland.
I've not ridden it.
Oh, okay. So when you go through the line, like in the queue, you're technically actually in the collector's hotel, essentially.
Okay.
So he has like prized possessions in the lobby when you're waiting to get on the ride. Mm-hmm. And one of the things you walk by is the dog. Is Cosmo. But they have all sorts of other things too, like Ultron's head is in there, and I think there's an Infinity Stone. So there's a bunch of cool artifacts from all the movies that are in there.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, but that's where Cosmo came from. So he was in the first movie. He was just kind of like a little nod, and then they put him in the people really liked that one scene he was in, so they put him in the Guardians ride in the line, and like I think honestly that made him more popular.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But yeah, that's where the dog came from. The dog was also in the second movie too.
It had to be somewhere in it,
and then it became an actual character. I learned this all today from YouTube video. Please don't give me credit. But I learned the dog actually gets like. They actually use the dog in the freaking Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Okay.
I did not know that the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special would have been canon in this movie.
It apparently, I guess there were some elements that were important to know, I guess.
Yeah, like the only elements was that they now live on Nowhere. Mm-hmm. And what's her name is
Mantis
Peter's sister.
Is somehow Peter's sister, you told me.
Yeah.
Which they mentioned that as a one-off they mentioned it as a one-off in the movie too.
Yeah.
Wait, that's a wild development on that part of it, but whatever, who cares? That's fine.
Yeah, but yeah, that's where that dog comes from. But so this is like the first time the dog's done anything.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, bro, the villain though, who like is just, I felt like this was one of the most interesting villains that the MCU has introduced, because in a way, like, it was one of those villains that's not particularly a villain. They're more of just insane.
Yeah, it was like a mad scientist, but not trying to take over anything. Just trying to create.
Just trying to create, but becoming like so overwhelmed by that they start to think they're God. But even if they got their final result of what they want, it wouldn't actually like affect. It wouldn't ruin the universe or anything. But
yeah, I don't think
creations, he's willing to kill all of the life that he's created in order to build again. But
yeah, I don't understand his over. I don't think he really had an overall purpose for the galaxy itself. All it was is that he's a really famous rich guy who is doing all these sketchy things behind the businesses he owns. Because that was the thing. It was like, he had his main business, which is the planet we go to originally.
The Flesh Planet.
Yeah, that's his main business. Mm-hmm. And then they had mentioned that behind all of that, the money he takes, he's just doing all these sketchy experiments.
He's doing a bunch of illegal stuff and has he's making enough money that he can create his own planet. And at the center of it is his big, massive ship that's helping to create all of it. Like,
it was a very personal villain. It was really cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily like we're protecting the galaxy. It was more so like, nah, we're just protecting this section of the galaxy.
Yeah. What's interesting too was that we got to see him a lot throughout Rocket's origin, because this person, the High Evolutionary is what he was called. Rocket and the other animals that were tested on were a part of a final batch of creatures he was working on before he got to the forms that he actually wanted, like full humanoid animal things. It was terrifying. But throughout all of the backstory stuff, we got to see this villain a lot through it, and it was very tender and caring throughout the whole beginning. And then there's just some point where some kind of like Joker switch turned on, where this guy was just terrifying to watch, where he would just blow up out of nowhere and just start like yelling at and just start killing randomly. Like,
yeah, I think that's part of the perspective from like Rocket, where it's like when he was first created, he didn't really know what was going on. It was just more so like you're I guess your creator, your master. Mm-hmm. And then as he gets older and smarter, he realizes, oh no, I'm an experiment. And then, oh my gosh, he killed all of the cute animal things. Dude. He killed his girl. He killed Rocket's girlfriend. Bro. The other. The whole time when we were watching all of that, I kept getting vibes from Toy Story.
Oh my god!
Wait, you remember when Woody or Buzz goes to Sid's room
Yeah.
and he has all these like makeshift toys? That's what I thought of when I saw all those animals.
Bro,
I was like, dude, this is just Sid. He's trying to escape from Sid's house. No.
Is the plot of this movie, is the plot of Guardians of the Galaxy just that they're just redoing the first Toy Story movie?
Yeah.
You're totally right.
All those creatures reminded me of that.
Oh my gosh. And so for the listener, we had in the cages with Rocket, there were 3 other very cute animals that were all being experimented on. And it was his girlfriend, the otter, and then there was the walrus who had wheels now, and then the bunny rabbit who had
spider.
who had like spider cybernetics. All of it horrifying.
Yeah, dude, all I could think of with all of his experiments was like just Toy Story, that scene where they're in Sid's house and they're just all these weird creations.
Yeah.
There was that, and then there's the pig monster thing.
Oh, the war pig?
The war pig? Dude, that's Man Bear Pig from South Park. That's the same thing. James Gunn literally just took Man Bear Pig and put him in the MCU.
Yeah, we could take this.
I loved that.
The actual like big animal cyber bionic things, those, because there was an eagle one too, and
There's some creepy ones in there.
it was actually so like I keep going back to cosmic horror. Like it was so messed up, but it was also really compelling to watch all of these weird creations. Like it basically all the VFX teams and the writers were just like, if we can think it, we can make it, and let's do it.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing that was cool though, was I think they made them all like that because it allowed us to be way more brutal in how we killed them.
True.
Because if these are humans, we got to censor this down a little bit.
Yeah.
But if it's half pig, half robot, chop it in half, baby. Cut its head off.
We can stay PG-13 if we decapitate just these bionic animal things. But we can't decapitate people.
Yeah, they upped the violence on this movie
a
whole lot, which was cool.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely tell that James Gunn is ready to let loose on his violence.
Yes.
When he switches over to DCU.
Mm-hmm.
Because even in Suicide Squad, he had that movie, and that movie is violent.
Yes.
So you could tell that he just took elements and was like, yeah, I'm going to dumb it down for Marvel. But if they're robots, we could tear them apart.
I will say, so if people don't know, James Gunn has been hired by DC as like their new executive producer person.
It's like their Kevin Feige?
Feige.
Yeah. It's like their Kevin Feige, essentially.
Yeah. This movie truly felt like James Gunn.
Marvel.
James Gunn was saying like, hey, here we go. Like, this is my last Marvel one. But get ready. I now run DC. It's gonna be like this. It made me very optimistic for the DC stuff.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for whatever the first James Gunn DC movie is that comes out.
What already came out? Suicide Squad. I don't know if that's gonna be canon though.
I mean with him running the show.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because there's a difference between him like writing and directing it, but he doesn't actually produce it.
Yeah.
Versus now he is running the whole thing. Right.
I'm interested, man.
Wow, you are so enthused right now.
I'm sorry. Yeah, right there was the worst time. I'm so. I'm
so interested, bro.
I'm just letting it all sit in, but I am excited for James Gunn to take over DC, which is cool because DC is gonna be fun, man.
I hope so. I'm not interested in. I mean, we didn't even go see Shazam, and I don't know if we're gonna see Flash, but I'm interested. When when the first thing that's like officially the project under James Gunn happens that like really sets things off, because he's been, I mean, we kind of talk badly about the second Guardians movie. It's still good comparatively. Like, it's still a good movie.
Yeah, compared to most Marvel movies, it's still good, but it definitely did not feel like I don't know. I almost feel like after seeing the third one, I feel like the second was just kind of a waste of time.
Well, I feel the second one truly is more about the character development, I think.
For Star-Lord.
Not necessarily just Star-Lord, because if you think if it's for Star-Lord, then it kind of sucks now, because it was development for him that led into Infinity War, right? Because he loves Gamora, and then Thanos kills her, and now he's upset. I think it was mainly development for Nebula, who I think is one of the coolest characters in the MCU now. I think Nebula is so dope, and I love the transition from her being a villain to now she's the leader of a new society, and that's really cool.
Yeah, Nebula is awesome. They did a lot for Nebula there. It also helped push Rocket a little bit. Kind of gives us a glimpse of like, not necessarily I guess story or like backstory for him, but what he wants to be.
Yeah.
Like leading the Ravengers and all that. Like when he sees them do the funeral at the end, the Ravengers funeral, you kind of see it in his eyes. There's like, this is the life I want to live.
Yeah.
I want to be a Ravenger. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Look at these guys. He realizes, wow, people will come together for me, even though I'm a jerk. I gotta show them that, some respect, and they'll show it my way too.
Yeah. I did want to talk about this because there was something that came up in this movie that is similar to some development from Thor: Love and Thunder. That I know you haven't seen that movie, right?
Kind of.
You've seen parts of it, right?
Parts. I fell asleep.
But did you see? Do you know how the movie ends?
I know that Jane whatever dies, and then Thor gets a kid.
Okay.
Spoiler.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
That's all I know.
Look, you gotta be careful with our Marvel episodes because we're gonna talk about everything, right?
Yeah. I know that. I know he has a kid. That's Love and Thunder.
Right.
I don't know if it's his kid though. I know that there is a kid.
It's not his kid. It's basically he's adopted the child of the villain Christian Bale. But that was probably the only part of that movie that I thought was interesting was how do you develop a character that has been in so much of the franchise? Oh, we make him a dad now. That's actually very interesting for a character that's thousands of years old, but he's never been a dad. What I thought was fascinating about this movie, they're trying to develop so many characters at once, but for two of them, the natural development that they went with was kind of to make them dads, which was Rocket taking a bunch of the baby raccoons and really connecting with them and being like, I'm going to take care of you guys now. I'm your dad. Yeah. And then Drax doing the same thing with all of the refugee kids that they took from the High Evolutionary ship. And now he's the dad of a full society of kids. I just thought that was really interesting. That's becoming like a consistent theme of some characters' development.
I love it.
It's like, hey, what is the higher purpose we can bring for some of these characters? They're dads now. They got responsibility. I mean, it's the easiest way to write them out. True, yeah.
It's the easiest way to be like when the next big thing happens and you think to yourself, why didn't they just call Thor? Thor could have just came down and smashed this guy. Mm-hmm. He's out with his dad.
Yeah.
He's out with his daughter. He's out with his daughter.
He's dead.
Yeah.
He's out with his daughter, training her.
He's just chilling with Hercules somewhere. I did see that too.
Like I like that dynamic though of like in order to progress the story, you have to make some of these characters. Yeah, put the scissors away. We don't need.
You keep playing with your scissors. I'm gonna cut something.
We're always fidgeting while we're filming this, while we're recording this. But I like the idea that some characters, their development is actually trying to make families in some way. Then we eventually see the result of that. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, like, these guys got to grow up eventually. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Drax isn't just going to keep saving the world every single episode or every single movie. It's like some of these characters have to develop at some point.
Yeah.
Like, outside of saving the world. I mean, like, Thor, for example. The dude has done so much.
Yeah.
For this whole universe. My boy cut off Thor cut off Thanos' head.
Yeah.
Like, he's done so much. It's about time he settles down a little bit. Maybe has a kid.
Yeah.
It's just same thing. Like, I love that too. They did the same thing for Iron Man. He became a dad, and then was like, dude, we can't kill him. He's a dad. And that's what they're doing. They're setting up Iron Man moments. They're trying to set us up, get us attached, and then we kill him.
Because, if eventually if we got to see like Iron Man has a kid in the MCU now, if we get to see the kid develop and they become a superhero eventually, like, it would be cool to have Iron Man still around to train her, or like we get to see that process in some way. That I think I'm fixating on that because right now, especially what we're seeing with the TV shows, we're seeing Marvel just kind of throwing characters in out of nowhere, and apparently they've always been here. They've just been in the shadows or something, or whatever. It's way cooler to make these characters like we bring them in some way.
Yeah, from
connect
the ground
to
up.
them. Like, I think one of the coolest ways that Spider-Man has developed in the MCU is specifically, this was the only iteration where we watched Spider-Man be mentored by the big hero, by Iron Man, and then watch, even after Iron Man has died, Spider-Man transitioning into becoming his own hero.
Yeah,
right?
he's an adult. He was like just some high schooler when we first saw him.
That's one of the coolest arcs right now in the whole MCU, is that process. I don't know. It was just, and I wasn't expecting to see that development for two, let alone one, but two characters in this movie, and it just caught me off guard, and it made me think of Thor through it.
Dude, everybody's a dad now. Black Panther's a dad too.
Yeah, dude, he's a dad too.
Whoa, we got Black
Everyone's
Panther
dad.
with the kid that's gonna grow up. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, we see what they're doing. We just exposed.
Maybe
we
this
just
is
exposed phase like 8.
You know, if it's phase 8, because it's gonna be forever down the road. But maybe that's why they're trying to introduce the time travel. Maybe, fingers crossed, they're not gonna just bring everyone back. We're gonna time travel forward so that we can see the offspring of many superheroes becoming super.
Yeah, heck yeah.
That
Black Panther's son. We got Iron Man's daughter. Wow, we got Ant-Man's daughter. Also.
Yes. Thor's adopted daughter.
Drax's 500 kids.
Rocket's several dozen raccoon babies.
Baby raccoons. Yeah, wow, that is interesting. You're onto a good point here. A lot of dads now in the MCU.
Yeah, dude, being a dad is powerful, I guess, and they're really trying to promote that. I just I was not expecting that theme to start coming up more through this.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense progressing through it, but I don't know. This movie caught me off guard.
So what phase are we in? Is this phase 5?
I think Ant-Man was officially the beginning of phase 5,
So
or
this
maybe
is
it was
the
Black
second.
Panther was the beginning of it. We are in phase 5 right now, and it's such a, I mean, this was a great movie overall. Way better than Ant-Man. This was actually a super fun movie to watch with really cool stakes in mind through it. The story was very compelling. But again, like, bro, I do not care about the direction of, like, there is no overarching story right now. And that's kind of always been the fun of the MCU.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And right now there's literally nothing. I do not care about, like, bringing all the people together right now. It's so weird to me to have that feeling.
Yeah, we're in a very weird phase. So this is the second installment to phase 5.
Okay, Ant-Man was the first. Gotcha.
Yeah, Ant-Man was the first, and then goes this, and then I'm not going to read all of these all off, but just because, who cares?
Who cares?
All this stuff's going to get moved around.
Yeah.
But so far, I mean, Ant-Man Quantumania has set up Kang.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. This movie didn't address it at all. That's okay.
That's fine.
That's fine.
We
because
don't need
Guardians
to.
is one of the only movies I'm looking at phase 5. It's one of the only movies in phase 5 I think doesn't need to involve him in any way. But that does leave more, because you're right. There's no overarching story happening right now.
Yeah,
and that's what made the Marvel movies so exciting for so long.
And I'm very tired of the continuous argument from people that, well, we're in a transition period. No, we're not. It's been 4 years since Endgame. We're not in a transition. They're writing their storyline poorly. The movies have been getting worse. No, we are not in a transition anymore. We should be moving on. We're done transitioning.
Yeah, we're done transitioning. I mean, yeah, you're right. Even because every Avengers movie was kind of like, well, all these movies are leading up to the next Avenger movie, and then all these movies are leading up to the next Avengers movie. But ever since Endgame, yeah, you're right. There hasn't been, and there is no plans for an Avenger movie for a while.
Yeah.
I think that's like phase 6.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, we gotta get this ball moving, because there's a lot of Marvel content that's come out since Endgame that to not have an overarching storyline.
And like, I guess maybe we don't need to have that, but it's hard for me to reflect on the first 3 phases going from Iron Man, or I guess Incredible Hulk, all the way to Endgame and not think about how fun it was to watch that overarching story unfold. You know, even like it took them 5 years from Incredible Hulk to make the first Avengers, and then another one came out 2 years later. Then we had the first Avengers that was through a different main superhero of Civil War, in my opinion. Like, the story was naturally progressing, and right now it still feels like we have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah, and we have a lot of characters.
It feels so lost right now, man.
A lot of characters.
Yeah.
There's too many.
Just in Guardians alone.
Just in Guardian. Yeah, you're right, man. I mean, I here's what I hope is going to happen is that the next Avengers movie we get is going to be just everybody is getting chopped off. Half of the characters we've been introduced to are getting killed off.
I really wish that they could get more brutal, dude. I thought when Adam Warlock showed up and he just started just destroying everyone, I was right away, I was like, oh, we're killing someone to start this movie. Where someone dies right here. And Rocket almost died, but I thought everyone was about to die during that.
Nope.
But it's still like, I don't know, the stakes feel so, not that people have to die, but like the stakes become so much less. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's because we saw them all kind of die.
Yeah.
Like with Endgame, we saw a lot of characters just disappear.
Yeah.
Like nobody was safe in Endgame, which was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think now it just feels like, oh, everybody's safe until the next Endgame movie, until Secret Wars or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, we got 4 more years until anybody really dies.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, that's the problem. That's the other problem they're running into, is the cast don't want to make it that long.
Yeah.
For some reason, they just cast these people, and they just have no desire to do anything past, like, a movie or 2 in the MCU. And it's like, dude, I get it. You got to do what you got to do. But that kind of ruins the appeal of Marvel, because Robert Downey Jr. stuck it out for, 10 years?
10 years, yep.
And it was a great ending. It was a great send-off. Right?
Yeah.
Now they're trying to figure out, okay, what do we do with Thor? Like, Captain America's was kind of underwhelming. Like, how do we end off all these other characters that are, like, we're kind of had for a while?
Yeah.
It all circles back to just nobody knows what the next direction is here.
Yeah. I will say, going back to Guardians specifically, as I'm pondering it more, I had this thought in the theater too. One of the things that was very compelling to me was, despite the Guardians movies being the most outlandish with their, like, the world that they're in, and they're on these very odd planets and all these crazy Star Wars-esque characters, this is one of the, and I feel like it's akin to like Black Panther as well, that this felt like a movie that was very real. The beginning of the movie is Star-Lord drunk and yells at Rocket before this attack happens, and now Star-Lord thinks that he's killed. Because he wasn't there, has gotten Rocket killed.
Yeah.
And it's the same. That was the same kind of like dark storyline as Black Panther ended up being, because Black Panther was all about grieving and overcoming that and letting yourself grieve. This was about, like, similarly trying to move on from your past.
Yeah. Well, and I think they're just setting up Star-Lord to move into a different role altogether. Because I think that's going to be the next phase for Guardians, is everybody's just going to kind of be side characters, and I think they're trying to transition Star-Lord into being a main cast member.
Yeah, it was odd that the end credits scene specifically did not say Guardians of the Galaxy will return, but it said the legendary Star-Lord will return.
I think there's a movie lined up for him. But
there has to be.
It's far away, but I'm pretty sure there's a movie lined up.
I feel like they're trying, because originally Captain Marvel was supposed to become the new, like, star of the MCU, and clearly that's not happening. The reception to her has not been good. At least from what I've seen and people I've talked to. I feel like they
character.
might be might be going back and forth on like who's our new focal point. It could be Star-Lord. I could see that.
This would have been a great movie, I think, to just start getting the next story going.
Please.
Like, isn't that a weird choice that Ant-Man is the one that they chose to like get the story rolling? Like, I think that was such a weird choice. Ant-Man has always been kind of like
Meh.
like a B-list Marvel character.
Yeah.
You know, he's never had a main moment. He's never saved the world. I mean, he's had his moments, but like it was never felt like the stakes are super high if he fails. If he fails, somebody else will just come and clean it up.
Yeah.
But the Guardians of the Galaxy, I mean, dude, they are the reason. Like they have the biggest hand in the Thanos story arc than any other character.
Yeah.
Solely because they have the daughters of Thanos.
Yeah.
I mean, from the first movie, Thanos, they're just like, yep, Thanos, right away. Let's just get into it. We all work for Thanos.
Yeah.
And Ronan, OP villain.
Well, I think that might be why they would choose not to make Guardians be the focal point of a new arc, because they already did that. Yeah. Technically, like, I'm pretty sure the first Guardians was the first movie that fully started buying into the Infinity Stone thing, where like the whole center point in that movie was the Infinity Stone, right?
Yeah.
They were really kicking that off. We gotta have a movie where it's so bizarre to me that Ant-Man was the beginning of that, and then not really, but
yeah,
I don't know, man. It's been
we just took the whole movie and just spun it off into our complaints of Marvel.
I mean, every time, dude, it's gonna be hard to have a Marvel episode. I mean, we talked about it. We said this is a great movie. It was dope. It was dope. It actually was sick concept. I was not expecting it all to be about a dying character, but it's always gonna have this issue until they start. You're never gonna go, if you actually keep up with these movies, you're never gonna go into one of these movies without thinking about, so how does this play into the whole story? How do we move forward? So as long as they keep doing this, it's gonna continue. We're always gonna keep talking about this.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, I will say, I think the other thing about why we're so on edge of what's the overarching story is because there's so much content. Mm-hmm. There is so much Marvel content out there, and I really think that the studio behind Marvel is seeing it as, we just got to get more Marvel content out there for everybody to watch.
Yeah.
But us as fans are like, dude, there's so much Marvel content and nothing's happening.
Nothing is happening.
We want the overarching theme.
Can you give us a single storyline that we get to fixate on and be thinking about? And now there's Easter eggs you throw into the movies, and we're waiting each time.
Yeah.
And then the post-credit scenes actually mean something, too.
Yep. But like, I think on Marvel's end, they're thinking like, oh, the fans just need more content. And it's like, bro, I'm tired of all the Marvel stuff. Slow it down or get a story going.
Yeah. I mean, they're losing people. They're losing me. I'm not keeping up with the shows anymore because it's just too much.
I don't watch the shows.
It's too much. And until my idea forward is, I'm not going to watch any of the shows until a movie is coming that is like, hey, now we're incorporating the show. Like, it's happening. It's like, okay, fine, I'll go watch it now. But right now, they're not doing that. Does not matter.
Yeah, the only show that's really felt important was maybe WandaVision for Doctor Strange fans, but Doctor Strange is up in the air what he's doing.
Yeah.
I feel like truly the only important show right now is Loki. And even Loki, it's only for the last episode.
Yep.
I watched the last episode. I understand what's going on. I skipped every other episode.
Yep.
Don't care. I understand what the last episode, the implications were. And I think for everybody who hasn't seen the TV shows, just watch the last episode of Loki.
Yeah, just so you're up on it. Or go read the synopsis. That's all that matters.
Watch the first, watch the last, everything in between.
Done.
Stupid.
Done.
You might get hooked because that first episode was good. Mm-hmm. I promise you. The rest of it, not.
Meh.
Just skip to the end.
Yep. I mean, this movie was great. I think
there was a lot good about this movie. Sorry. Back to the topic of the hand.
It's okay.
The movie. It was a good movie.
Good movie.
I liked the music choices in this one.
Music was bangers, dude.
Yeah, bangers.
They started with Creep, bro. That was such a good song.
I love that we keep the Zune around. That one, I love that. I'm a big Zune. I used to be a Zune head back in the day. I used to have a Zune.
Oh my gosh.
It was awesome, bro. You know how many songs I could put on that thing? It was
How many?
Crazy. Thousands.
Wow.
I mean, back in like 2006, I had like 100 gigs of space, and I was just like, bro, this is amazing.
Unreal.
I could have thousands of songs. And they had Apple, they had the like subscription service before like Apple ever did, which was awesome. So like I could just get unlimited music. It was awesome.
It predates history though.
Bro,
You know?
don't care, bro. Zoom was awesome. It was OP. Bring it back.
Oh man.
It
ended with Florence and the Machine too, dude.
That was nice. That
That was
was,
good. That was good.
We're in the
final.
2000s era of Marvel or Guardians.
Of Marvel.
Yeah, feels like it.
I would like to be. Yeah, it was solid.
Solid movie.
I think we get. You ready for banana meter? Or you got?
There was something else I was gonna ask you about it.
Bring it up. What up?
What did you think of the? I've lost it.
No, you got it.
No, okay,
It's right here.
I got it. Yeah, what did you think of like shooting Quill out a third time into space? Because I'm kind of over that now. This is he's happened to every movie. He's almost died in space 3 times now. I felt so unnecessary, right?
You gotta do it every time, bro.
I felt like
every time.
I feel like the whole movie I was suspenseful on if Rocket was gonna die, or like I never thought for a second that Star-Lord would be at threat, and then all of a sudden it just completely shifted, and it was like, by the way, Peter's dead.
Yeah, this movie was
like, what?
This movie was very clear that this is not about Peter necessarily. It was about him. In a way, he had his own development of trying to save his best friend while also dealing with Gamora, who he's in love with, but she doesn't know. He had a whole bunch of stuff going on. But it was very clear. This movie is not about him. He was never on the table of being killed, of being hurt.
And then they just threw it in.
And then suddenly, oh, I'm frozen in space. But then now the Morlock showed up, and now he's a good guy. Like,
yeah, that was probably the only scene in that whole movie where I was like, why?
Didn't need it.
Why are we like, bro? This is a big problem. Half the cast don't want to come back and do these movies. Why are we trying to kill off the only other half of the cast that wants to keep doing these movies?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Like Chris Pratt and Bradley Cooper have no issues. Bradley Cooper can't complain. He just does voice lines. He has the easiest job of all of these guys, next to Vin Diesel, of course.
Bro, why did Groot actually say real words at the end?
That was weird.
That was awful. That was bad development.
I didn't like it. He said, "I love you guys." I said, "Oh."
You can't be having it canon that he's saying so many words just through "I am Groot." You can't have that for years, and then out of nowhere he goes, "I love you guys," and it's like. Did that mean something else? Because that's how I Am Groot works.
Maybe that's just I've always thought that Groot had like almost a telepathic ability to where like anytime he says I am Groot, the person he's talking to is the only ones that can understand what he's saying.
Huh.
That's what I've always understood Groot. That might be like completely off from what I've thought.
I've never thought of it like that. I've always just assumed, hey, this is a fun bit where apparently they've been with him long enough where they understand the nuances of the I am Groot.
I guess that makes sense. I've always seen it as like when he is addressing like they know what he's saying because he wants them to know what he's saying. So that's what I thought that moment was.
Huh.
But I'm probably way off on that. I think they just threw in a I love you guys for no reason because it's James Gunn's last movie.
I mean, I could see that with how this movie worked because Gamora had not spent any time with him, and then over the course of 48 hours, we saw that she understood Groot at the end. So maybe that could be the case.
I've always thought that that's how he communicated. Is he only lets the people who he wants to hear what he's saying.
Huh. Never thought about that. Still, I hated the choice to make Groot actually say real words at the end. Dumb decision.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't do that after a decade of him not ever saying anything else.
Yeah, that is true. I don't know. Maybe there's more to it. Or maybe it was just literally just James Gunn said, I'm going to throw in that Groot can talk. I'm out. And just left.
Yeah.
It was his last hurrah.
Yeah, it could have been. It may have just been a fun little thing, but it's very jarring right at the end to throw that in.
That's probably also why this movie doesn't move the MCU overall storyline. It's probably because it's his last one. So I could see that of like keeping the focus of the main overarching story of just being like, yeah, this is James Gunn's last movie. We're not going to have him introduce some major arc and then he leaves. You know what I mean? Like, I could see that.
Yeah.
We don't want him to introduce Thanos and remember that when Thanos first got introduced and he looked totally different than when he was actually?
Yeah.
They don't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
Because first Thanos was weird looking.
You know, I'm thinking now, you know what? And then we'll go into the banana meter after this. But I've just had a thought. You know what would have been so dope? Is if after, like, you know, we spent a whole decade going from Hulk and Iron Man to Endgame, right? And it was the most fun, like, movie journey I feel like I've ever gotten to have. And the payoff was so cool leading up to it. I really feel like right now, I think the right move to have made after Endgame was to restart. Let's do a different universe, but it's Marvel, and this time we rebuild it with different characters, and we start out with origins of new people in a new world, and then build up to a new arc. Yeah. I think that could have been the way to go. I mean, obviously it's so difficult for them to try and do something like that, and they're already in a weird place of trying to figure out what to even do, but based on how things have been going, I'm still not optimistic. I'm not excited. I didn't really anticipate going to this movie that much. I was not that enthused. I was happy with the movie, but it's really a struggle to keep watching it and just be, the only thing on my mind is how do we move forward? If they restarted, then the audience can restart too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is just such a complex storyline already that this would have been perfect to throw in at least some sort of sneak peeks into the future.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why Guardians was so unique. You know, like Black Panther, I didn't expect them to throw overarching story along because it's so simple. Mm-hmm. Like, we are a simple civilization that has just the most complex technology. But, like, we don't want to associate with anything outside in the world, so why would we move the story along in this movie?
Yeah.
As to where Guardians of the Galaxy is literally the entire galaxy. We have free range to put anything we want in there to move the story along. Yeah. So I think that's the only underwhelming thing about that, of moving the story along, is that Guardians is just so good for it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, with that,
bring the boys in.
I can hear the boys, like, they're super... Oh, wow. Wow, this is... Wait, where did you get these blasters? Oh my gosh, they're blowing holes through the ceiling. I'm a raccoon. You're dressed up as a raccoon.
Wow, that one's...
A ton of you have, like, raccoon masks painted on now.
Rocket!
Wow.
Okay. Wow, look at them.
I guess
they look good. Wow.
Yeah, looks good. Sure. I don't know where you got the makeup to do all that.
Bathroom.
What did you get from my bathroom?
David, they got the makeup from your bathroom.
The makeup from my bathroom. Wow.
Miniboss bathroom. Mucho makeup.
Wait. Was the bathroom in this house or the one next door? Next door. Okay, wow. So you trespassed and stole a bunch of stuff from my neighbors. Great.
No. Banana.
Okay. Bananas, there I am Groot, bro. Yeah. Only we understand them truly.
Yeah, we know what the banana means.
Yep. All right, Ricky, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'd love to. Right off the bat, you know, every movie starts at a 0. We slowly build our way up.
Mm-hmm.
Just kidding. That's not how I rate it.
Right.
But I will say, there was a lot more Rocky in this movie, and I loved that. I got to see Sylvester Stallone twice, and all I could think of is him just throwing his hands up and going, Adrian! So I looked over
at the end, and both of us went, Adrian!
Yeah, I looked over at you, and I was like, bro, 20 points. No matter, this movie could be the worst movie I've seen, it will at least be a 20, just for having Rocky.
True.
Amazing casting.
Always.
The casting was awesome in this. I think a lot of the characters had great moments. I think the villain was fun. The villain, I was I kept thinking to myself, like, he's really not like that powerful.
Yeah.
But this is more of a personal vendetta villain than it is anything else. Like, he's still a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't like we're just taking out vengeance. This is more of like, this was long overdue vengeance on somebody that truly could be a problem.
Yeah.
But I did love that aspect of it. It introduced, the Guardians did it again on introducing just really crazy creatures and really cool scenery.
Yeah.
That's something I think the second movie lacked a lot of, was we only got to see the God Planet.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't get to see cool new sceneries and cool new creatures and whatnot. So that's what I loved about this one. Got to see a lot of different things. Music was top notch. VFX, great. Overall, fun movie. I mean, there's a couple little problems with it. Like, the Quill dying thing was weird.
Yeah.
Didn't really need that.
It's a weird beat to have at the end.
Yeah, it didn't feel like at any point in time that I was going to lose Quill. I thought to myself, somebody else could die so Quill could want to get out of this business and maybe go back to Earth. Like, maybe him losing another person would be him going back to Earth. So I don't know. Yeah. That was a really weird choice to put in there at the end. It also was weird that they made it a really big deal that we got to get this airlock in here, otherwise these kids won't survive because it's space. But when Adam Warlock flies through the front of your spaceship and your whole windshield is open in the middle of a space fight, totally fine.
Totally fine.
That was weird. Like that was also another weird Marvel moment where they just break their own rules that they made it a really big deal.
Yep.
Is that dude, if any bit of you goes into space, you're dead.
Yeah.
Except unless we bust a couple windows.
No,
it's, whatever.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, forget about it.
Forget about it. You're thinking too much.
You're thinking too much, buddy. We did address that.
Mm-hmm.
We've addressed that multiple times, but for you to remember that, you're an idiot.
Dumb.
So that's how I feel sometimes when Marvel would be like, when they're addressing a very big point in their world and then they just ignore it themselves. I feel dumb.
Yeah.
Like, did I miss something?
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So didn't like that. I think I'm going to land this movie at like, probably like a 75. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think it like, overall Marvel, which it sucks thinking this way because I really liked the movie, but it does nothing for the overall arching like MCU. At least not yet. Maybe it will.
The superhero movies, man, they're going, as long as they continue to try and tie them all together, that is a factor that we're going to always consider. As long as
I still think this was a fun movie. There were just some moments that were like kind of weird, off the path a little bit. You can definitely tell actors don't want to be a part of it anymore. You can feel kind of the awkwardness there. Not in the way they act, but just in the way that they're trying to write them off.
Yeah.
Just felt kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So that was weird to me, but I mean, it's cool. It's still a good movie. Like it. Love it. Better than the second movie in my opinion.
Better than the second, yep.
Not as good as the first. The first one is mwah.
It's perfect. First one's great. All right, 75. Yeah, I can see that. I think they did a good job dealing with how many characters they had to develop. Like, I really like that we got some good development on each character. Like, I feel like each one has grown because of this movie. One thing that really annoys me, though, that I brought up briefly, is Gamora is always going to annoy me now. And it's not because of the actress. It's not because of anything she's doing. It's the way they're writing this. I don't like just being like, hey, we time traveled and she's here now. Because now this whole movie, we just had the same personality of Gamora from the first one.
Yeah.
And
which was kind of annoying.
Why do I want to?
I don't want to go back.
We grew with her. Like, we watched her evolve from that. It's not fun to see that. Like, I would have rather us go on a journey to find our Gamora and have her back. Like, that's a way better payoff. Like,
yeah.
I thought that was really frustrating, just to have a character devolve in a way and go back to, like, yeah, we've seen you like this before.
She's a variant. That's the term, but like, she's
you're right.
Quite literally a variant Gamora.
Yeah.
Which we've established. No variants allowed.
No variants allowed, but this one's fine for some reason. So that was frustrating. that beat throughout the whole movie, because then we had scenes of Gamora like slowly starting to understand Peter Quill as she raids his backpack with memories and everything. It's like, bro, we did this. We did all this already. Why are we doing it again? There's no reason to. It doesn't pay off in the movie either. They go their separate ways at the end and they go, cool. All right. It was a lot of, I bet it was fun when we were together. Peace. I'm going back to Rocky. It's just,
okay.
It's not very fun. I do really like that they focused heavily on Rocket. I was not expecting that. And I think that storyline was just dope of his whole backstory and everything. It was hard for me to not laugh, though, during the very intense scenes of these CGI cute furry animals talking dramatically to each other.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Rocky's about to die, and he's looking at heaven, which includes his bionic other girlfriend, who he's now kissing, and making the decision to, like, you can't die yet, Rocky. You got to go back. Like, it was so dramatic, and I was laughing during it.
I laughed at the walrus because they just cut over, and he's just this little walrus on wheels, and he's like,
Hey, I'm gonna call myself Teefs.
Teef.
Because we all have them, but mine are pretty prominent.
Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah, you right.
Love that.
Like, but that being said, this movie was extremely entertaining. I think this was one of the better Marvel movies. And I don't have that many complaints. I think a lot of my complaints come from Marvel overall, which does contribute in a way, but I think the writing of this movie was pretty solid. And if you like Marvel, you're going to recognize this is definitely one of the more entertaining and fleshed together ones.
Great movie, yeah.
Which is crazy because it has the most characters in it, and they did a really good job of balancing it. So I'm gonna give it something just wild. I'm gonna go with 87.
Love that.
87.
I love that. Yeah. No, I like that.
87.
I gotta do math. That's like a 70. No, 82.
Yeah.
Like that.
No.
Right?
No.
I'm bad at this. Right?
81.
81, baby.
81, I'm pretty
That's
sure.
a good number. I like it living
number.
there. I think that puts it higher than Black Panther, but by like a smidge. I think we gave that like 80s.
Probably.
Somewhere.
Probably. I mean, this was solid. I would, if I had a friend who was like, hey, I want to go see it, will you join me? I would say yes, I will go see it.
I would go see it again too. And in fact, I kind of feel bad about the 75. I think just the 75 is just only because it's like, there's just a bit, like there's so much happening. But like, I don't know how to describe it. I got to rewatch it. I got to really let this sit. If you don't like my 75, whatever.
I mean, bro, we always, the next day after we've seen it, we're always like, maybe I rated it too high or too low. Like, we always are second guessing it. But no, stick to your guns, dude.
No, I like it. I like it.
75 is still passing. It's still good.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
It's a solid movie.
It came out at the wrong time, I think.
Well, I mean, bro, like all of the Marvel movies are coming out at the bad time. It's just they're not sitting well right now. You know what I mean?
I think what keeps it at a 75 is that when I came out the movie, I told you my big takeaway from this movie is I'm more excited for DC than I was anything that this movie did.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a weird sign.
It's not a good sign for Marvel. It's not a good sign.
Like that was a powerhouse moments that I think James Gunn is going to just guide into DC and make DC a powerhouse franchise. I really hope he does. I love that he's sticking to his gun and it's just everybody's fired.
Yep.
Margot Robbie, you can sit. You sit down, ma'am.
Everyone is fired except and also I'm going to straight up say these movies that have been released of DC, the majority of them not canon anymore. We're just moving on. Like I said, we're restarting. We're just going to reset. And we're going to move on from this and do it again.
Fans will appreciate it. And you know why Margot Robbie's the only one that gets to stay? I don't care if you love her or hate her. She's the only one that's brought attention to these movies in the last 6 years.
True.
The only reason people watched any recent DC movies is probably because they saw that Margot Robbie was back in them forever ago. That was it.
Or they saw The Rock really getting his vanity project finally to the big screen.
Yeah.
And they got to leave disappointed.
Yep. Sorry, Rock. You don't get your moment, buddy. Can't wait till he gets recasted.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think that's it. That's
the episode.
I think that's it. This is our Marvel episode, our once a quarter Marvel episode.
There it
Once a
was. It
quarter.
came and went. By the way, I
That's
think
so bad. Once a quarter.
yeah,
Bro, please spread these movies out.
yeah, bro. I'm fine with once a quarter. Just stop making the TV shows. I said that from the very beginning with the shows coming out.
Yeah.
I don't want them.
Well, they've said they're gonna start slowing down on all that, so
There's
we'll see.
hopefully. Well, with that, thank you so much for listening to Straight Dude Date Night. We do hope you enjoy. Hey, this is our 40th episode.
Oh.
We haven't missed a single week of this, and we're not planning on it, even though life is busy and everything. So thank you all so much for continuing to listen and enjoy this with us. It's truly a blessing to have a bunch of people enjoying this thing that we're making.
Yeah.
If you want to support us and you haven't already, be sure to follow us on Spotify if you're listening there, or leave us a review and follow us on Apple Podcasts, or subscribe to us on YouTube as well.
Love that.
All three of those, great ways to support us. Also, tell a friend. Tell a friend about this podcast you listen to. Will also be great. Really cool to see the growth that we're getting to have. It feels a little weird to go into analytics for a moment, but I love looking at the numbers for this stuff. It makes it feel just so much fun. Last week, our estimated audience size for this podcast hit 50 people, which is like, I don't know enough people that I know 100% are listening to this to be like, yeah, it's all friends and family. It's not. It's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So
yeah, grateful for everybody that's doing it.
It's so much fun. We have a blast doing this. So thank you guys for making this worth it for us too.
Yeah, seriously, thank you guys. That's awesome. 50 people. That's I can think of like 3. So
I know my parents listen. I have a few friends that listen. I get a text from Zane once a week, just like, hey, good episode.
Yeah.
But with that, Ricky, this was a super fun movie to go see, man. It's been a long week, and I am very happy that I can end it with just some good hangs with my boy, going to a packed theater and just having fun with the cosmic horror movie. So thank you.
I'm gonna stop doing research on movies beforehand because I get my hopes up on a good movie.
You can't do that, man.
I gotta stop doing it, man.
Yep.
I just experienced Guardians of the Galaxy for the first time, and then I watched this, and it's just, I think that's what's doing it to me.
Yeah, they get worse over time. Movies get worse over time, bro.
I know.
That just happens.
Bad.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We do hope you enjoy. Have a great day. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye.